So once you've mastered the basics of that breathing and trying to isolate that deep tummy and pelvic floor, we can start to challenge it a little bit with some props. So a ball is quite useful, or a pillow can also help. That ball goes between your knees. Same principles as before, make sure that we've just melted the rib cage down, we've got neutral, so you can just slide those fingertips underneath. Okay. Hands go onto the ribs just for that feedback. So we take a breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to now squeeze the ball and then feel that lower tummy, pelvic floor, and then breathe in, let it go. Let the ball go, let tummy, pelvic floor go. Okay, so with that breathing, so in breath, open the ribs. Out breath, ribs coming back in and together. Ball squeeze, tummy, pelvic floor is engaging. And then as you breathe in, let it all go, relax. So remember that activation is only a 3 or 4 out of 10 on the effort scale. And you just want to make sure that you're not gripping and bracing up here. So if you're doing your tummy and pelvic floor and you just feel your ribs and everything else start to work, what you're actually doing is working the more superficial muscles, which is great, we want strength there too, but we really want to, at this stage, is just to deepen, make sure you're working those deeper tummy muscles. Okay, we'll do a few more. So take a breath in, open the ribs, breathe out, ribs come together, we squeeze the ball, engage lower tummy and pelvic floor. Okay, we can then add a little bit more on. We can challenge that position with our hands. Breath in. Breath out, ball squeeze, lower tummy, pelvic floor. We're going to take the arms overhead, but keeping your ribs and your back still. Breath in, hands, come back, we release, let go. So you're trying to avoid, as the arms go overhead, this happening. Okay, you keep it nice and tight. Breath in. And again, feel the pelvic floor, lower tummy activate. As you squeeze that ball, we're breathing out, those hands are going overhead. Nothing else is moving. And we breathe in and we let it go. You can challenge that a little bit further by adding in a small weight. You haven't got a weight, a ball, a can, all very, very useful. Same idea, start with a breath in. Start to feel the pelvic floor lift like an elevator coming up or lower tummy tightening. Squeezing that ball, take the arms overhead. So a little bit more challenging to hold that position. Breathe in, release and let it go. Yeah. So it's just being able to hold that shape, use that deep tummy, lower pelvic floor, and release, okay? The other ways we can start to challenge it, we can still use our ball, bring in some resistance from our hands as well. So first thing you can do with that ball squeeze, breathing out, squeeze, and just pulling each end of the band apart. And then breathe in, release, and let it go, okay? We go back to all those same fundamental principles. As you breathe in, the ribs open and expand. As you breathe out, the ribs just start to come back together. You squeeze the ball, we lift the pelvic floor, engage the lower tummy, and we pull it back. Sounds like a lot, but the more we do it, the more natural that's going to become. You can challenge it one step further by keeping one hand still and only pulling with the other. So it just brings a little bit more tension across your midline. And you can alternate from one side to the other. Breath in, release. Breath out, squeeze as you engage that tummy, pelvic floor. And as you come back in, remember you've got to let it go. And if you need to take an extra breath here to make sure you have let it go, fine. Cool. Okay, we can get rid of the ball and we can add the leg movements in too. So we're just taking it up a notch each time. And you can just work through each sequence until you feel you've got it. So now what we'll be doing is taking the knee out to the side as you breathe in, but without your lower back twisting, without your rib cage moving. Now as you breathe out, that leg's going to draw back together, and the movement's going to come from your inner thigh. So similar to that ball squeeze, but a little bit harder to control. So we'll just keep the hands still to start with. Take a breath in. And then as you breathe out, feel that tummy, pelvic floor just subtly start to pull that leg back in. Alternate, breath in, take the leg to the side, breath out, draw that leg back through. So the idea is that you're not rocking, right? You can keep this position. So it's just extra things to think about, as if you didn't have enough with your breathing, or your tummy, your pelvic floor. You want to keep this control as well. challenge, you add the arms in. So you can do opposite arm, she says, use the brain, and opposite leg. Okay, breath in, take the knee and the arm out to the side, breath out, draw it back into the centre. So stay still, go back to those fundamental principles. As you breathe in, the ribs open and expand. As you breathe out, we feel the ribs come back together, we engage the tummy pelvic floor. Okay, you can challenge that. You can either use the resistance band in your hands, okay, so you're pulling out, controlling back in, or you can even use that little weight, right? You can pass the weight, or if you've got two, even better, but you can pass the weight. Breathe out from one arm to the other. Okay, the last challenge here, we're going to move the legs in a different direction. So we're going to start with the hands up. And as you breathe out, I want you just to reach and lengthen one leg away, but nothing changes here. So it's really tempting to come into that arch position. Breathing in, bring your foot back to the mat. Okay? So hands back on the ribs. Let's just focus a little bit more. So breathe in, open the ribs. Breathe out, start to feel those corset muscles engage. Just subtly as you reach that leg away. Point your toes, get long, feel the hip open. Breathe in, bring your foot back to the mat. Good, breathing out, reaching away and engage. Breathing in, bring your foot back to the mat. So it's tempting to rock from side to side, but I want you to hold and fix that position. Okay, if you're happy with that, you can then add your arms in. Starting with opposite arm, opposite leg. So it's breath out, reach away, engaging through the core. Breath in, foot back, hand back. And still holding the ribs still, holding the lower back still as you're going. You can challenge it even further by making both hands move together. So it's just a harder movement to control. Breath in, open the ribs. Breath out, feel that corset muscle engage. Keep it there, arms and legs go out, and then we come back in. And then if you really want to challenge it, you can have that weight there as well. So we're going overhead, breath out, breath in, float back through. And the whole time just checking in on those fundamental principles. And have a go.